Today I wanted to talk about coax loop antennas and how they can be used to track down interference. This is a very conventional coax loop antenna plugged into a general coverage receiver in a handheld, set to about 14 meg at the moment, but it will work pretty much anywhere in the HF band. This antenna is not tuned, it's a coax loop where the connector at one end is not terminated in the centre core and there's a break in the braid at the top. And it becomes a directional antenna when it comes to locating noise sources. So here's an example of what the coax loop antenna looks like sitting on the ground. The central part of it is just a conventional PL259 style T-piece. So there's nothing special about this assembly. It's very easy to put together. So I'm here outdoors trying to show, without other influence, what this noise source is like and how we can find it. What I've got here is a noise source I've been using for a couple of occasions in the form of a floodlight. That's a 50 watt floodlight. When I turn it on, it generates a lot of noise. I'll just apply the power here to the floodlight and you'll see what it does. And there it goes. It's a good example of what wipes out HF parameters. Here you can see how this particular floodlight affects the whole of the HF band and VHF band on this spectrum analyzer tuned on basically 0 to 500 megahertz. So what I'll do here is just hold up this antenna and we'll see if we can find a null. In this position we can hear some noise coming through. That's edge on to the light source. When I rotate it, the noise disappears. Keep rotating and it comes back again. So using this technique and just with a receiver we can track down noise sources. It makes it a little bit difficult if the noise source is injecting heavily into the power rail, because then the power cable itself becomes an antenna, and that can kind of take you up the wrong path as to where the noise is actually coming from. But if you can follow the noise rather than trying to triangulate it, just look for the strongest signal and the weakest signal, you'll get close to where it's coming from, and that's a big help. So if you are experiencing noise problems from lighting or other sources, I highly recommend making this simple loop, attaching it to a receiver and going for a little bit of a walk to see if you can find out what the problem is. It's the first step in dealing with the interference, is finding out where it comes from, whether it comes from your property or from a neighbour or indeed from a power pole.